तो कल हम चर्चा द योगा ऑफ सुप्रीम पर्सन। तो हमने देखा था कि मतलब भगवान ने ये अध्याय में भौतिक जगत को वट वृक्ष के साथ तुलना की है। जो वट वृक्ष की जो शाखाएं है, मतलब अलग अलग शाखाएं है, उसको अलग अलग लोग बोला गया है, जैसे जनलोक, तपोलोक, महलोक। फिर सुतल पाताल तलातल जो पाताल लोक है उसके बारे में उसके साथ भी कंपेयर किया है, और मृत्यु लोक उसके साथ उसको कंपेयर किया है। और जो उसकी उपशाखा है, उपशाखा मतलब ट्विग्स बोलेंगे, क्या बोलेंगे, जो भी है, बट ट्विग्स बेसिकली, उसको उन्होंने कंपेयर किया है सेंस ऑब्जेक्ट के साथ। ठीक है, सेंस ऑब्जेक्ट मतलब इंद्रिय भोग जिससे हम कर सकते हैं उसको सेंस ऑब्जेक्ट बोलेंगे। और टिप ऑफ द ट्विग्स मतलब जो क्या बोलते हैं उसको, टिप, जो भी आप समझ गए, तो उसको इंद्रियों के साथ तुलना की गई है। और ये जो वट वृक्ष का जो फल है, वो फल को धर्म अर्थ काम मोक्ष, चार पुरुषार्थ जो बोलते हैं उसके साथ तुलना की गई है। यहाँ पे धर्म मतलब जो हम ये सनातन धर्म की बात कर रहे हैं वो नहीं है, लेकिन लोगों के लिए अच्छा करना, ये करना, वो करना, उसके बारे में बताया है। अर्थ मतलब एनीवे नाउअडेज एवरीवन इज टॉकिंग अबाउट इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट, तो अर्थ आ ही जाता है। काम मतलब सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेटरी एक्टिविटी। और मोक्ष तो पाश्चात्य देश में एक साइकाट्रिक्स थे, साइकाट्रिक्स या साइकोलॉजिस्ट थे, मुझे पता नहीं, जो भी है, उनका नाम था मार्टिन सेलिगमन। तो उन्होंने हैप्पीनेस की फॉर्मूला दी थी, हैप्पीनेस H इज इक्वल टू P प्लस E प्लस M। तो P मीन्स प्लीजर, इमीडिएट प्लीजर, सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन। E मीन्स अर्थ, इकोनॉमी, अर्थ। M means dharma, meaningful life. So basically, he was a professor and he took some of his student first for watching movie. Then he didn't speak anything about that. Afterwards, he took those same student for doing some welfare activities to orphan student, orphan people, orphan children. And he didn't say anything for 6 months. And after 6 months in classroom, he reminded to all his students, you remember we went for watching movie? So no one could recollect about the movie. Everyone has forgotten. Then he reminded, oh, all of you remember we went to help orphans. And everyone was delighted. And they said, yes, something like that. So they felt so happy, and they were sharing that it was really nice experience. We are helping them. That person felt like this thing when we have helped them. They were discussing among themselves. And he concluded, happiness derived from helping others is much, much better than happiness you derive from earning money or name, fame. And happiness you derive from earning money or name, fame is much, much more better than sense gratification, pleasure. So that's why I defined the happiness formula H is equal to P plus E plus M, where M is much, much greater than E and E is much, much greater than P. So if you compare those P, E and M, P means pleasure, kama, I already discussed that. E means economy, artha. M means meaningful life, dharma, लोगों को help करना वगैरह वगैरह, morality basically, morally, or we can say serving people. But he could not define moksha. That is given in our scripture. That is the fruits of this tree. Okay. So, and the leaves of this tree are Vedic hymns. उसको वैदिक हिम्स बोला गया है। और जो ये पेड़ को जानता है वो वेदों का ज्ञाता है, ऐसा बोले यहाँ पर। अगर ये वेद बेसिकली क्या करते हैं, ज्यादातर ना वेदों में क्या बताया गया है, मोस्टली वेदास आर डीलिंग विथ, इफ यू रिमेंबर 2.41, sorry 42, talks about, I could not remember that verse exactly, but यैमं पुष्पितं वाचा प्रविदन्ति विपासिता वेदवादार्था पार्थ नन्यदस्ति निवादिना कामात्मनः स्वर्गपरा जन्म कर्म फलप्रदां क्रिया विशेष बहुलां भोगेरेश्वर्य गतिं प्रति. Well, the men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of Veda. Why it is said, I already discussed, because most of the people are interested in dharma, artha and kam. Sorry, yeah, dharma. Mostly are artha and kam. They are interested in artha and kam. Very few in dharma. And dharma means serving, seva, service attitude to society in general without keeping Krishna in the center, maybe with center in the Krishna. Moksha means liberation. So here it is said that it is talking about mostly flowery language, sense gratification. That's why Krishna has answered the question of Arjuna, okay, which recommends various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, result in good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, he said there is nothing more than this. So basically, sense gratification तक लोग रहते हैं इसमें. So the material purpose of the material world is to fulfill the desire of jiva to separately enjoy from Krishna, and that's why that is sense gratification. That's why those, but the Vedas purpose is not only that. There are many things mentioned in the Vedas. Okay. Major sections talks about this part. How you can enjoy regulated sense gratification. Don't do vikarma, but do regulated sense gratification. Okay, so that is the purpose. That's why it is one who knows this tree is the knower of Veda. Actually, if we discuss about Bhagavad Gita second time, we can completely speak different way. Anyway, so now he says, so basically the first verse is material world is compared to asatya tree, and second word asatya tree branches are compared to different planetary system, and 3 planetary system, heavenly planets, hellish planet, and Prithvi Loka. Leaves are compared to Vedic hymns, and one who knows this tree is knower of the Veda. The second verse, he says that the branches of this tree extend downward and upward, so basically different planetary system. It is nourished by 3 modes of material nature, that is the water. Water is the nourishing element for tree. Okay. Then he says the twigs are object of senses. This tree also has root going down, and these are bound to fruitive action of human society. So basically these secondary roots are compared to fruits, fruitive activities, fruits of the activities, and they bind the human society. Karma bandhan mein dalte hai usko. Okay. So basically subsidiary roots are attachment and aversion, which are byproducts of different varieties of suffering and sense enjoyment. These subsidiary roots are desire, attachment and aversion, means I like something, I don't like something. So these are the root cause of our bondage. And as I already mentioned, fruits are the dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. And these 3, so this is the comparison of the material world. Okay, these 2 verses, remember very clearly. I'm emphasizing on this thing because I remember you might not have understood first time. Third and fourth verse, it talks about, okay, we are in karma bandhan. We are in karma bandhan. No, basically we are rotating in that cycle, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi. Heavenly planets, when your visa will be expired, visa of pious credit will be expired, then you'll again come back to earth, like that. Okay. So how can we cut this tree? Karma bandhan se kaise hum kaate? How can we cut the karma bandhan? Okay. So that is mentioned in third and fourth verse. The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. Basically, here it is said that so indirectly that they are talking about spiritual world. There is another world which is cannot perceive. We cannot be perceived in this world. That is mentioned here, that reflection. So this material world is the reflection of the spiritual world. Okay. And what we are trying to enjoy as a fruit, that is a reflection of the mango, not real mango. That is another point. Okay. We'll discuss these things. So the real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. And no one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. No one can understand this thing. Okay. उसका अंत कैसे होता है, उसकी शुरुआत कैसे होती है, उसका आधार क्या है, किसी को पता ही नहीं लगता. Okay. But people are suffering through janma mrityu jara vyadi. Okay. So basically, that binds fruitive action. So when fruitive action comes, it also indicates enjoyment and suffering. Okay, that also indicates enjoyment and suffering. That's why material enjoyment and material suffering. So how it can end, we don't know. But with the determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. Weapon of detachment. So Mahasanga शस्त्रेण दृढ़ेन छित्वा. ठीक है, सॉरी, यहाँ से असंग शस्त्रेण दृढ़ेन छित्वा. असंग मतलब by detachment, by the weapon of detachment, with determination. Chitva. Chitva means cutting. Strong with determination, cut, and with by cutting with the weapon of detachment, with determination. That's very, very important. Okay. So how to cut that? So now I'm again repeating, this material world is compared to a Aswatha tree. Different branches are compared to different planetary system. Roots, twigs of the tree are compared to sense object. Tips of the twigs are compared to senses. Fruits of the trees are compared to dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Okay. Then secondary roots are compared to karma bandhana. Okay. That is, and one more thing, leaves are compared to Vedic hymns. No one who knows this tree is knower of the Veda. Okay. And because of these secondary roots, we are bound this material world. Those secondary roots are representative of karma bandhana, means sochiti and kankshati, ichha and base, liking and disliking, attachment and aversion. And it's very difficult to cut. This tree is not real. Real in the sense it's a reflection of spiritual world. Okay. So the real tree will not be perceived here, where its beginning, where it ends, and where its foundation is. But with the determination, so it's very difficult to find this source of these things. So it's very difficult to get out of these things. So just remember, suppose we want to go from India to US. Today I was discussing with one devotee. They were talking. They have a passport. आपका ये वेरिफिकेशन दो, ये वेरिफिकेशन दो, पुलिस आती है वेरीफाई करने के लिए, इतना सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स मांगते हैं, पासपोर्ट से आधार निकलवाते हैं, आधार से पासपोर्ट निकलवाते हैं, and to go to USA you have to do so much process, and what to speak about going to another planet, Krishna Loka, which is so far beyond, you know, millions of, billions of miles away. So, but how can we cut? With the determination, one can cut down the strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. Tyag. Okay. Thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns. अरे हम भौतिक जगत से निकल तो जाएंगे, निकलना तो चाहते हैं, लेकिन जाएंगे कहाँ? Right? So one must seek the place from which, having gone, one never returns, and therefore, and there surrender to that supreme personality of Godhead from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. So first, decide, I want to cut down, first develop that desire of detachment. I don't want to suffer in this material world. Okay, I want to go beyond these three gunas. Okay, so what are the trees? How we nourish the tree? By three modes. We have to develop that weapon of detachment. With determination, we have to cut down this strongly rooted tree and seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and that surrender to the supreme personality of Godhead, from whom everything begins and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. भगवान के पास जाने की बात कर रहे हैं. Now, what is the surrender process? How we can go to that supreme personality of Godhead? We should go there. How can we go? Okay, how can we develop that detachment? That is another thing. Okay. So that process is given in the verse number 5. How to be detached and how to surrender to the supreme personality of Godhead. Okay. So hope is this clear to everyone? इतना clear हो गया? पहले हाँ बताइए. हाँ या ना बोले. अगर clear है तो clear बोले, नहीं है तो नहीं बोले. Is it clear to everyone? Yes. Type yes in the chat if clear, not then let it go. Okay. A few more, please type yes or no. Okay. So then he says how to cut down, how to be detached and how to surrender to the supreme person of Godhead. So that is mentioned in verse number 5. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, false association, understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, who unbewilder, who know how to surrender unto the supreme person, attain to that eternal kingdom. So basically, what is that verse? I forgot from Srimad Bhagavatam. But what is that? Bhakti is a 1 minute. There is one very famous verse. It is skipping from my mind. John and Anyway, I'm not going to spend too much time. But when you have devotional service, when you perform devotional service, you will automatically develop jnana and vairagya. Okay. So that's the point. So there is one process that you go step by step and cut down the tree and directly accept devotional service. Automatically you develop the attachment to Krishna and detachment from the material world. So through bhakti, it's parallelly happen. One lose the interest in the enjoyment of this material world and you develop the happiness in serving the Krishna. So bhakti, so jnana and vairagya are the byproduct of bhakti. That is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. So hope this is clear. So now, so in the next verse, he said that that person who knows this, how to surrender to Krishna, or who has developed, surrender to Krishna means the one who has developed devotional service to Krishna, attain that eternal kingdom. So what is that eternal kingdom? It's mentioned in the next verse. That supreme abode of mind is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never returns. Okay. Those who reach never return to this material world. So it brief description. This in 15th chapter, Krishna is giving description in brief for whole philosophy. If you see completely, it is most of the thing he will mention in this chapter. Okay. So why living entity has to go to that spiritual world? Because we have some relationship with the Krishna. And what is that relationship with the Krishna? Is mentioned in the verse number 7. What is that? Mame vamsu jiva loka jiv bhuta sanatana manasashtani indriyani prakruti sthani karsati. The living entity in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental part. They are amsa. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which includes the mind. So yesterday we discussed, so mind's power determined Jiva's future. Mind is very strong, obstinate. We discussed that in 6.34. Chanchalahi mana Krishna pramati balvadridam tasyam nikram manni vayureva suduskaram. Okay. So the living entity in this world are my fragmental part. They are amsha. And due to conditioned life, they are struggling hard in the material nature with the 6 senses, including the mind. So it's mind, thinking, feeling, and willing of the mind determine the future of the jiva. Will he suffer? Will he receive dog's body, hawk's body, tiger body, tree's body, fish body, which kind of body he will achieve, which will be defined by mind, desire of the mind. And because of that desire, what happened? It keeps changing the mind. Whatever I said, that is mentioned in this particular verse. Sariram yad avapnoti yad chapi utkrama tisvarha gruhi vetani sanyati vayur gandhani ivasayat. So the living entity in this material world carries this different conception of life from one body to another. So basically desire in the mind carries different conception of life from one body to another. As the air carries aroma, it takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another body. So it keeps changing the body. And why? Why we are changing the body again and again? Why we are entangled in the cycle of birth and death in this material world? Why we are entangled in this janma mrityu jara vyadhi? It's not sin. Ordinary people cannot perceive that. Okay. So who can see this thing and who can't see, who can perceive this thing? That, that's why Krishna says in 13th verse, so 13th chapter, verse number 8 to 12. So those who want to receive the knowledge, that is, it is mentioned about process of acquiring knowledge. So one of the qualities that you should know, that what is that? Uh, the perception of evil of birth and death and old age and disease. That we have to understand. Who is knowledgeable? The one who knows that birth, death, old age, and disease are the real problem of life. There are so many problems of life, but these are real problem of the life. There are, pollution problem, that is man-made problem. Traffic problem, that is man-made problem. Okay, but okay, of course, means in this particular body they have created the problem. These are because of subtle thing we are going through all these things, birth, death, old age. Of course, some may be related with physical thing also. So that's why one who knows Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, what is the real problem of life, is common to all. There are three. What are the criteria for defining the real problem of life? It is common to all. Nobody wants it, nobody can avoid it. So that is Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. One who Dukh, Dosanu, Darshanam. One who knows that Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi are real problem of life, they are knowledgeable person. Okay. So that's why it is very, very difficult to having an, if you have knowledge, then only you can understand what are the real problem of life. That why you are changing the again and again, changing your body and going through this. Who can see that and who can't see? That is mentioned in the next verse. Sutram chakshuha sparshanam cha rasanam granam evacha adhishtaya manaschayam visay anupasevate. The living entity thus taking another gross body obtain a certain type of ears, eyes, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. So all are centered around the mind. We had discussed this thing. I'm not going to discuss right now. That what is Indrayani Pararahu Indrabhyo Paramana Manasastu Parabuddhiryo Buddhar Parasastasa. Okay, so we had already discussed about that. That senses are higher than dead matter, mind is superior than senses, intelligence is superior than the mind, and higher than this intelligence is soul. So these senses are grouped around mind. So he thus enjoys particular set of sense objects. So that is 9th verse. So who can see this thing and who can't? That is mentioned verse number 10 and 11. Utkramantam sthitam va api bhunjanam va gunanvitam vibuddha nanupasyanti pasyati jnana chakshusha. He said, foolish cannot understand how the living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of modes of material nature. Foolish cannot understand. Okay. So it is mentioned here. But one whose eyes are trained in the knowledge can see all these things. So one who are knowledgeable, they can see. What knowledge? Vedic knowledge. Huh? Or maybe Krishna conscious knowledge, they can see. You can say that way. Not maybe, but Krishna conscious knowledge, spiritual knowledge. Okay. So those who have developed spiritual knowledge, however, can see that spirit is different from the body and is changing the body and enjoying different ways. And a person in such a knowledge can understand how the conditioned living entity is suffering in this material world. Therefore, who are highly developed in Krishna consciousness try their best to give this knowledge to the people in general. So people cannot understand this thing. So there are two Maya Sakti, two different kind of Maya Sakti of the Lord. One is Prakshekatmika Sakti, one is Auranitmika Sakti. So sometimes you are in the problem, but you don't feel you are in the problem. That is the biggest problem, that we can't understand we are in the problem. That is biggest problem. So one is Prakshekatmika Shakti and one is Auranitmika Shakti. So one will make push you in the suffering, okay, push you in the darkness and you suffer. And another energy will work as a covering. It covers you so nicely that you don't realize that you are suffering. That is another level of problem. One is one Prakshekatmika Shakti will push you in darkness so that you start suffering, and Auranitmika Shakti will come and covers that knowledge that you are suffering. So we are feeling that you are happy. So that's very famous story of Indra. No, Indra was given the body of pig. What is suffering? Sorry, something he asked to Brihaspati. I forgot what he asked. But Indra came in the body of uh, a pig, and he has a sea pig. They enjoyed so nicely. They produced so many children. And Brahmaji come and told Indra, Indra, enough, please, enough. Come back to your Indra Loka. Indra said, oh, I have wonderful. See, I have beautiful wife, sea dog, sorry, sea pig. I have beautiful children, baby pigs. I'm so happy. See, I have very wonderful stool fish. Indra was feeling happy, although he was suffering. And Brahmaji said, oh, okay, you'll not. Okay, ब्रह्मा जी ने छोड़ दिया, फिर वापस आए, वापस वही इंद्रा बोला, तो ब्रह्मा जी ने क्या किया, सारे बच्चों को मार दिया. So Indra, फिर भी after having been killed all the children, Indra was still feeling happy. अरे no, चलो मेरी पत्नी है और बच्चे पैदा कर लेंगे. That's what he was feeling. He made that pain adjust with that pain. He accepted the pain and he adjusted himself. Then Brahmaji said, oh, Indra has still desire. Then he is thinking that he will unite with his wife and again produce many baby pigs. तो उन्होंने अपनी पत्नी को ही मार दिया. इंद्रा, ठीक है, पत्नी गई. इंद्रा सोचा, ठीक है, अभी भी मैं भी जिंदा हूँ, दूसरी शादी कर लूंगा और उससे बच्चा पैदा करूंगा. फिर वापस ब्रह्मा जी आए और उसको काट दिया. So you don't feel pain in the material world sometimes. And that is even bigger problem. Sometimes people don't know they are making mistakes and they are in illusion that they are right. That is the biggest problem. Sometime in our life, if someone commits mistake and we commit mistake and we want to hide, then we blame others. So that we feel that we'll try to cover our mistake by highlighting others' mistake. So it is called blame game, and when we play blame game, we never advance actually. At least in spirituality, we should accept the responsibility of our own decision, whatever decision we have made, rather than imposing the blame on others. That's why even so in our case, if someone doesn't, that's why Krishna, after telling whole Bhagavad Gita, ask Arjuna, now I have told you what are pros and cons, please you take decision. Krishna didn't give him decision, but Krishna told Arjuna to take the decision so that Arjuna doesn't blame Krishna in future. So we should such a things. This material world is whole blame game. People will blame others and all. Only some people. Anyway, I don't want to deviate from the topic. So therefore, those who are highly developed in Krishna consciousness try their best to give this knowledge to the people in general for their conditioned life. Is very troublesome. लोगों को पता नहीं चलता क्या है. कोई बृहस्पति बन के आना पड़ेगा, समझाना पड़ेगा, अरे you are suffering, please come out. And that is the duty of the practitioner of Krishna consciousness philosophy. They should awaken them that they are suffering in this material world. Let's go to another world which is free from, that is Vaikuntha. Vai means free, Kuntha means misery, which is free from all miseries. Okay, so they should come out of it and be Krishna conscious and liberate themselves to transfer to the spiritual world. That's why who can see and who cannot is mentioned here. I think आधा घंटा रिविजन में हो गया. Anyway, but यतन्तो योगिनश्चैनं पश्यन् आत्मनि अवस्थितं यतन्तो अपि कृतात्मानो nenam pasyanti chetasa. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly. Endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly. But those whose mind are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. Okay. So basically, no, there are many transcendentalists on the path of spiritual realization, but one who is not situated in self-realization cannot see how things are changing in the body of the living entity. The word yogin is significant in this connection. In the present day, there are many so-called yogis. So there are so many people. They are saying we are performing yoga and all those things, but their goal is not spiritual realization. Just well-built body and healthy body. That's the only thing. This kind of people cannot understand. So bottle transcendentalists cannot understand basically. That's what Krishna is trying to say. So yesterday we discussed till this point. Hope this is clear to everyone. And if yes, then I can move ahead. It is, at least one person please type clear. Or if one person will type not clear, I'll explain again. Okay. So now let's move ahead to today's section. So it is very clear, right? Again, in short, I'm telling this. Okay, Krishna explain the material world. Okay, he has briefly described material world. In the next verse, he explained how to cut the roots, cut this tree and free from this bondage of material world. Okay, and little bit he described about spiritual glimpse. Glimpse means he just talk about that. He doesn't give description. Okay, and here he tells about the surrendering process and going to eternal kingdom. And what is that kingdom? How spiritual world is briefly described in this verse. Okay, so and why Jivatma should go to spiritual world? Because he has some relationship with the Supreme Lord. And what is that relationship? Mame Vamsu Jiv Loka Jiv Bhuta Sanatana. They are fragmental part and they are going through this material world because of sense, struggling very hard with the six senses, which includes mind. And how he, changes body is mentioned in the verse number 8. Okay, like in Ichha Dvesha, change the body. That is mentioned in 8 and 9 verses. And 10 and 11, who can see this suffering, change of body is given in 10th and 11th verse. Now, so this much we covered yesterday, and we have to cover another 9 verses. So hopefully I will be able to cover that. So now Krishna's. Okay. So now Krishna says that what happened? You cannot cut even the sense enjoyment. Here what he says? Aditya gatyam tejo jagat bhasyate akhilam chandram se yachandramasi yach agno tat tejo vidhi mamakam. So he said, even if you want to enjoy in the material world, you are thinking that, you don't want to go away from the material world. You don't want to, become subordinate to Krishna. You don't want to accept the authority of Krishna. You want to stay in the material world. And Krishna says, even you cannot do that. Why he says, the splendor of the sun, without sun we cannot survive. Without moon also we cannot survive. ओके अभी भी इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का क्राइसिस आ रहा है, बहुत सारे स्टेट में गर्मी चल रही है, पानी बहुत सारे डेमो में पानी है नहीं, तो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी मिल नहीं रहा है, तो कब तक इलेक्ट्रिसिटी चलाएंगे हम, राइट? लेकिन बोलते हैं सन से जो लाइट आती है 1 सेकंड के लिए, वो कितने सालों तक चल सकती है, कुछ एक दिन या जो भी है, मुझे फिगर पता नहीं अभी। तो बोल रहे दैट स्प्लेंडर ऑफ द सन विच डिसिपेट द डार्कनेस ऑफ दिस होल वर्ल्ड comes from me. So even if you want to enjoy, some people are blind, they cannot enjoy. By eyes we can see so many beautiful things which we should see and which we should not see. Both the things which are allowed to see and which are not allowed to see. Krishna's beautiful is allowed to see. Okay, and seeing opposite sex as a sense gratifier is not allowed. Okay. But as a service attitude, we can see them. That is different thing. But even we cannot do that without the help of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Can you see how much condition we are? So even if you want to enjoy in material world, we have to depend on Krishna. So that's what he's saying. In one word, he is very nicely explaining. The splendor of the sun which dissipates the darkness of this whole world comes from me. एक दिन लाइट चली जाती है तो क्या लगता है? एक बार यूएस में हुआ था, 8 घंटे के लिए लाइट कट ऑफ हुई थी and so many people died. That is the history, because they were not understanding what to do without light. Okay. And it's the splendor of the moon and splendor of the fire are also from me. रात को चंद्रमा कितना ठंडक देती है. Right? So intelligent cannot understand how things are taking place, but one can begin to establish in knowledge by understanding what the Lord explained here. Everyone sees the sun, moon, fire, and electricity. One should simply try to understand that splendor of the sun, splendor of the moon, splendor of the electricity or fire are coming from Supreme Personality of Godhead. In such a conception of life, the beginning of Krishna consciousness lies a great deal of advancement from the conditioned soul in the material world. Even we just be grateful, that is the beginning of Krishna consciousness. The living entities are essentially the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. He is giving here with the hint how they can come back to the Godhead, back to Godhead. So as it is mentioned in the 7th chapter, 10th chapter, Surya and Chandra are the eyes of the Lord. And if we appreciate the Lord, fire, if we appreciate the fire, digesting fire, it will come in this chapter, that it is Krishna. That's the beginning of Krishna consciousness. Even we think the taste of even the wine is Krishna. That is the beginning of our Krishna consciousness. Why? Because we have seen them with relation to Krishna. Okay. From this verse, we can understand that sun is illuminating the whole solar system. There are different universe and solar system, and there are different suns, moons, and planets also. But in each universe, there is only one sun. Nowadays, I think James Webb's telescope US has launched, and they are sending the photographs of different galaxy. Maybe parallel universe. I don't know what to say about that, but yeah. The moon is one of the star. Nakshatranam aham sasi. Sunlight is due to spiritual effulgence, the spiritual sky of the Supreme Lord. With the rise of the sun, the activities of the human beings are set up. They set fire to prepare the food stuff. They set fire to start the factories. अरे अग्नि के बिना कुछ चलेगा ही नहीं. Okay. So many things are done with the help of fire. Therefore, sunrise, fire, moonlight are so pleasing to the living entity. And without their help, no living entity can live. So if one can understand that the light and splendor of the sun, moon, fire are emanating from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, then one's Krishna consciousness will begin. Very simplified. By the moonshine, all the vegetables are nourished. Moonshine is so pleasing that people can easily understand that they are living by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By the moonshine, all the vegetables are nourished. The moonshine is so pleasing that people can easily understand that they are living by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And without His mercy, there cannot be sun. Without His mercy, there cannot be moon. And without His mercy, there cannot be fire. And without the help of sun, moon, fire, no one can live. These are some thoughts to provoke Krishna consciousness in the conditions of the soul. So even we cannot do sense gratification without the mercy of Krishna. So basically, Krishna is maintainer at cosmic level. You can say. So he says that, now, so that was outside our body. So still, okay, still, he's talking the outside of our body. Gama avisya bhutani dharyami aham ojasa purnami chausadi sarvaha somo bhutva rasatmakaha. Then he said, I enter into each planet, and by my energy they can stay in orbit. साइंटिस्ट लोग बता रहे कुछ थोड़ा सा भी अर्थ सन के नजदीक चला जाएगा तो टेम्परेचर बढ़ जाएगा, समथिंग दे आर टॉकिंग, आई डोंट नो राइट नाउ इन डिटेल. So I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of the life to all vegetables. भी कार्बाइड वाले फ्रूट मैंगोज आते हैं, कार्बाइड वाले बनाना आते हैं, कैसा टेस्टी लगता है पता नहीं, लेकिन मैंने नेचुरल आम खाया है, अच्छा लगता है, ठीक है. So that's ripen with the moon and all. So it is understood that all the planets are floating in the air only by the energy of the Lord. Okay, Newton has found the gravitational law, but that was existing even before Newton put it in mathematical form. So apple has fallen even before also, that Newton found out. The Lords enter into every atom, every planet, and every living being. Andantarastha parmanu chayantarastam govindam adi purusantam aham bhajami. It is said in Brahma Samhita. It is said in Brahma Samhita that, yes, what is that verse? Chakshure sakala grahana. What is that verse? Chakshure sakala grahanam raja samasta murti asesa teja. यस्याज्ञा भ्रमति संभ्रमात् काल चक्र. ये चक्षुर एष सकल सविता ग्रहाणाम. सविता means Chandra, sorry, Surya. Surya, sun is rotating because on the order of Krishna. Okay, and Annantarastha Parmanu Chayantarastha, the Brahmaji is telling that Krishna has entered in each and every atom. Okay. So then he says, so Paramatma enter into planet. That is discussed in Brahma Samhita. It is said that one plenary portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Paramatma, enter into the planets, the universe, the living entity, and even into the atom. So due to his entrance, everything is appropriately manifested. When the spirit soul is there, a living man can float on the water. But when the living spark is out of the body is dead, the body sink. Of course, when it is decomposed, it floats just like a straw and other things. But as soon as the man is dead, he at once sink in the water. Similarly, all these planets are floating in the space, and this is due to entrance of the supreme energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This energy is sustaining each planet just like a handful of dust. If someone holds a handful of dust, there is no possibility of dust falling. But if one throw it in the air, it will fall down. Similarly, these planets are floating in the air, actually held in the fist of the universal form of the Supreme Lord. By strength and energy, all moving and non-moving things stay in the place. We said in the Vedic hymn that because of the Supreme Personality of God, the sun is shining and planets are steadily moving. Were it not for him, all the planet would be scattered like a dust in the air and perish. Similarly, it is due to Supreme Personality of Godhead that moon nourishes all the vegetables. Due to the moon's influence, the vegetable become delicious. And without the moon sign, the vegetable can neither grow nor taste succulent. The human society is working, living comfortably and enjoying food due to the supply from the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, mankind could not survive. Basically, his maintainer, okay, at the cosmic level, in the earthly planet. The word Raksatmaka is very significant. Everything becomes palatable by the agency of the Supreme Lord through Rasatmaka, sorry, not Raksatmaka, Rasatmaka, influence of the moon. Okay. So now he has spoken outside the body. And he talk, now in the next verse he will talk within the body. Every line, he's talking about the philosophy, explain all the philosophy. Then he say, Aham Vesvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Asrita Pranapan Samayukta Pachami Annam Chaturvidam. तो चार अलग अलग प्रकार के खाने आते हैं, कुछ चूस सकते हैं, कुछ चबा सकते हैं, किसी you can lick. I forgot what all are those four, but there are four different kind of food stuff which you can drink. Some are chewed, some are licked up, and some are sucked. So these are the four different kind of food. Anyway, that's informative, don't worry. So I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of living entity. कभी कभी थोड़ा कभी ज्यादा दूध पी लेते तब भी ज्यादा अग्नि हो जाती है, तब भी परेशानी है, एसिडिटी हो जाती है, गैस हो जाता है, कुछ जो भी हो जाता है. आई एम नॉट द मेडिकल साइंस स्टूडेंट, बट एंड is low, indigestion will happen in the Jatharagni, right? It secretes HCl, so that is another form of fire, hydrochloric acid, right? So I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entity, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kind of food stuff. खाना ही नहीं पचा सकेंगे तो क्या होगा, परेशान हो जाएंगे लोग, ठीक है. So that's what Krishna says. Krishna is or maintainer at person bodily level, within the body is maintainer. He nourishes us within the body. Earlier he spoke outside the body. Now he's talking within the body. So according to Ayurvedic Shastra, we understand that there is a fire in the stomach. Anyway, so I'm moving ahead. Prabhupada is quoting from different Purana about same thing. So basically Krishna produces and digests food stuff, and by his grace we are enjoying life. Okay. Lord is situated within the sound and within the body, within the air, even within the stomach as a digestive fire. There are four kind of food stuff. Anyway, so Krishna is maintainer within our body. So earlier he spoke about maintainer outside the body. Okay. So we are thinking that okay, no need to understand and all, but still we have to understand. Krishna is maintainer, without him we cannot do that. Okay. So in the next verse, like he says, Sarvasya chaham vidasinna vaishto mattasmutir jnanam apohanam cha vedescha sarve. So let's say, let's take first part right now. Sarvasya chaham vidasinna vaishto mattasmutir jnanam apohanam cha. Let's take this part only right now, because there are two different parts in this verse right now. So he says, I am seated in everyone's heart. So earlier he spoke, first he spoke outside the body, then he spoke at physical level, right? I am the fire, whatever, life. Okay. Now he's talking subtle level, subtle bodily level. Okay. You see here, I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. कभी कभी इतना मेहनत करके जाते हैं, भूल जाते हैं. I remember I was appearing in GATE exam. पूरा, I solved whole problem. I found the answer and I tick mark wrong answer. 2 marks are gone, and 2 marks are very important in GATE exam. 1.1% is 0.1 is also very, very important. I solved very nicely and I forgot. I marked wrong answer. We study and we forget. Sarvasya chaham hridasinna vishto. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Okay. So, so that's why Krishna says, by my mercy. So why he's saying that? Sorry, his source of remembrance. Yeah, memory will come through Krishna. Knowledge will come through Krishna. And forgetfulness will come from Krishna. Even when we change body, when we are dying, we suffer a lot. As I mentioned, pain is compared to like it's 40,000 scorpions are biting simultaneously. I don't know, someone has taken the bite of scorpion. मुझे हुआ था, मुझे याद है, खेत में था तब. So painful when 40,000 scorpions are biting. And with such a pain we forget. अरे हमें थोड़ा भी लगता है तो सारा भूल जाते हैं. कृष्ण को याद करना वो भी भूल जाते हैं. कृष्ण की जगह पे आउच बोलते हैं. So how can we remember? That remembrance come from Krishna. Forgetfulness come from Krishna. Knowledge come from Krishna. Why? Because it's staying within our heart. Okay. So why is saying? So before we discuss that, who can know this thing and who cannot know this thing, all those things we discuss. So here says by all the Vedas. So when in knowledge means what? The Veda. Okay. Then he says, by all Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta. I am the knower of the Veda. Okay, let's go through the purport and come back to that point again. Okay. The Supreme Lord is situated as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and it is from him all the activities are initiated. The living entity forgets everything of his past life, but he has to act according to direction of the Supreme Lord, who is witness of his all work. So हमने ये इच्छा की थी, that has been sanctioned by the Supreme Lord, and he reminds us again. Therefore, he begins his work according to his past deed. Required knowledge is supplied to him, and remembrance is given to him, and he forgets also about his past life. Thus, the Lord is not only all-pervading, he also localized in every individual heart. He awards the different fruitive result. He is worshipable not only as the impersonal Brahman, Supreme Personality of Godhead, and localized Paramatma, but as the form of the incarnation of all Veda as well. The Veda gives the right direction to the people so that they can properly mold their lives and come back to Godhead, back home. The Veda offer knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. In his incarnation, as Vyasadeva is the compiler of Vedanta Sutra. So Krishna has mentioned 3 levels. Is maintainer outside our body, within our body, means there are 2 categories: subtle body, gross body. So he's even the maintainer at the level of gross body and even at the subtle level. Okay. So those who are knowledgeable, that's what Krishna says, right? In 10th and 11th verse, what he said: this quitting of the body and staying in a body and enjoying under the spell of material modes is not perceived by the foolish people. But those who have eyes of knowledge can see this. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in the self-realization can see all this clearly. But those who with impure consciousness cannot see this through, though they may try. Okay. So we have seen that, okay, those who are knowledgeable, okay, so they can perceive all this suffering, all this thing. Okay, so where is that knowledge given? That is given in the Veda. And what is the purpose of that knowledge? Directly saying Krishna, that by all the Vedas I am to be known. I am the compiler of Vedanta. Krishna says Veda is written by me, compiled by me. And I am the knower of the Veda. He is knower of all the Vedas. He is the goal of Veda, is compiler of Veda, and is knower of the Veda. Okay. Goal of Veda, compiler of Veda, knower of the Vedas. Okay. So Krishna says, I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Okay. So basically, it's the remembrance of knowledge and forgetfulness of knowledge. And that knowledge is given in Veda, by all the Vedas. I am to be known. And what is the purpose of that Veda? Know Krishna. Indeed, I am the compiler of the Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Veda. That's what Krishna says. That is the purpose of the Veda. Okay. So as Paramatma, basically, Krishna initiated all the activities. So now, by all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta. I am the knower of the Vedas. What are those Vedas? So conclusion of the Vedas are given in the next 3 verses. Okay. So if you want, I can read this thing. Purport. So यहाँ तक सबको क्लियर हुआ? पहले बताइए, yes or no? चैट में टाइप करिए yes or no. Okay. So antah pravishta sast jananam, the living entity forgot as soon as he quit his present body, but he begins his work again, initiated by the Supreme Lord. Although he forgets, the Lord gives him the intelligence to renew his work where he ended his last life. So not only does the living entity enjoy or suffer in this world according to the dictation from the Supreme Lord. So not only does the living entity enjoy or suffer in this world according to the dictation from the Supreme Lord situated locally in the heart, but he received the opportunity to understand Veda from him. See, one is serious about understanding Vedic knowledge, and Krishna gives the required intelligence. By does he present the Vedic knowledge for understanding? Why does he present the Vedic knowledge for understanding? Because the living entity individually needs to understand Krishna. Vedic literature confirms this. Yo aso sarve vedir giyate. All the Vedic literature beginning from 4 Vedas, Vedanta Sutra and Upanishad and Puranas, the glories of the Supreme Lord are celebrated. By performance of Vedic rituals, discussion of the Vedic philosophy and worship of the Lord in devotional service is attained. It will be mentioned in upcoming verses. Therefore, the purpose of the Veda is to understand Krishna. The Veda gives us direction by which to understand Krishna, the process of realizing him. And when we get this knowledge, who can understand that why living entity are suffering in this world? Those who are on knowledge, those who are in knowledge. And remembrance of the knowledge comes from Krishna. Okay, that knowledge is given in the Veda. That's what Krishna is talking about Veda here. Okay. So the ultimate goal is, The Veda gives us direction by which to understand Krishna and process for realizing him. The ultimate goal is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Vedanta Sutra 114 confirms this in the following words. One can attain perfection in 3 stages. By understanding Vedic literature, one can understand his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By performing different process, one can approach him, and at the end, one can attain the supreme goal. Basically, this is Sambandha, Abhidhyan, Prayojan. Sambandha means relation. What is our relationship with Krishna? After knowing our relationship with Krishna, we should do the process accordingly, and then we achieve the goal. By performing different process, one can approach him, and at the end, one can attain the supreme goal, which is no other than Supreme Personality of Godhead. That goal is what? What is the highest and perfect goal? As mentioned in 7.18 or 17, the Krishna. So in this verse, the purpose of the Veda, the understanding of the Veda and goal of the Vedas are clearly defined. Even in the Veda also, what is the goal? I am the compiler of the Veda. By all the Vedas, I am to be the known. The goal of Veda is Krishna. Okay. And Krishna is the knower of the Veda and he is the compiler of the Veda. So what is that Veda? Like, no, after in brief description about Veda, he's talking about speaks essence of Vedanta in this verse, upcoming verses. What are those Vedas? He says, Dva imo puruso loke kshara jakshara evacha kshara sarvani bhutani kutasto akshara uchyate. So basically he's talking about what is the conclusion of Vedanta is given here. There are 2 classes of being, fallible, infallible. Fallible matlab conditioned soul, infallible matlab, you can say liberated soul. So in the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. So he's talking about this thing. Okay. So basically he's spoken about, here he's talking about living entity. There are 2 kinds of living entity. One is Baddha and one is liberated. Mukta, Baddha and Mukta. Conditioned and liberated, Baddha and Mukta. So this is he's talking about living entity. The next verse he says, Uttama Purush Tva Anya Paramatme Ti Udharata Yo Lokatrayam Avishya Vibhartavyaya Isvaraha Vibharti Avyaya Isvaraha. He says, beside these 2, Vibhartavyaha means okay. So beside these 2, there is greatest living personality, the super soul, supreme soul, the imperishable Lord himself, who has entered the 3 worlds and is maintaining them. एक लाइन में पूरा डेफिनेशन आ गया भगवान क्या करते हैं. पिछले श्लोक में लिविंग एंटिटी के बारे में बोल दिया जीवात्मा के लिए. यहाँ पे भगवान सबको मेंटेन करते हैं. बेसिकली कंक्लूजन दे रहे हैं. Entered the 3 worlds and is maintaining them. Lokatrayam avishya means 3 division, 3 lokas. Paramatma, so basically it's talking about Supreme Personality of Godhead. The idea of this verse is very nicely expressed in Kathopanishad, Shvetashvatara Upanishad. It is clearly stated that above the innumerable living entities, some of whom are conditioned and some of whom are liberated, there is the Supreme Personality, or who is Paramatma. The Upanishadic verse runs as follows: Nityo Nityanam Chetana Chetananam. The purport is that amongst all the living entities, both conditioned and liberated, there is one Supreme Living Personality, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who maintains them and gives them all the facilities of enjoyment according to different work. That Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. A wise man who can understand him is eligible to attain the perfect peace, not others. So basically, beside these 2, there is the greatest living personality, Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord himself, who has entered the 3 worlds and maintaining them. एक लाइन में पूरा philosophy आ गया. ठीक है. Next, he says, यस्मात् क्षरम अतितो अहम अक्षरात् अपि च उत्तमः अतो अस्मि लोके वेदे च प्रतितः पुरुषोत्तमः. This is because I am transcendental, beyond both fallible and infallible. Because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Veda as the supreme person. So who is the hero of this material world in Veda? Krishna is the hero. He is glorified everywhere. Basically, indirectly saying he is to be known. He is the goal of Veda. He is the hero of the Veda. Okay. Ato asmi loke vede cha prathita purushottama cha uttama. There are two times, purushottama and cha uttama. The best, he is the hero. So in the first verse, he talks about the living entity. There are two kinds of living entity. One is conditioned, one is liberated. The second verse, he said there is another living entity whose supreme being is maintaining all the worlds, and even living entity is the maintainer, enter in all the world and maintain. And here he says, okay, is transcendental beyond both the fallible and infallible, and because I am greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as the supreme person. Okay, he's a supreme person. That means he's a worshipable object. So so that is mentioned. So in the next verse he says, so who knows what will happen? Yeah. So here he says that so what he says, Yomameva sammudo janati purushottamam sa sarva vid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata sa sarva vid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. Again bhakti ki baat kar rahe abhi yahan pe bhajati. So he says, whoever knows me as the supreme personality of Godhead without doubting is knower of everything. He therefore engaged himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. Again, he's talking about devotional service. Okay, that's a Prabhupada. The word bhajati is very significant. In many places, the word bhajati is expressed in relationship with the service of the Supreme Lord. If person is engaged in full Krishna consciousness in devotional service of the Lord, it is to be understood that he has understood all Vedic knowledge. In Vaishnava Parampara, it is said that if one is engaged in devotional service of Krishna, then there is no need for any other spiritual process for understanding the Supreme Absolute Truth. He has already come to the point because he is engaged in devotional service of the Lord. He has ended all preliminary process of understanding. But if anyone, after speculating for hundreds of thousands of lives, does not come to the point that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that one has to surrender there, all his speculation for so many years and lives is useless waste of time. Sramevahi kevalam. Very clear. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is knower of everything. Yomam evam asamudho. इस प्रकार भगवान को जानते. पिछले श्लोक में क्या बताया? Is the hero of all the Veda. Janati Purushottama. Very simple to understand. Janati Purushottama. Yamam eva asamudho. Janati Purushottama. Sa sarva Veda bhajati mam. With all that knowledge, bhajati mam. Sarva bhavena bharata. Okay. And what will happen to those who will render devotional service in this way? I'm reading again. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engaged himself in full devotional service to Krishna, O son of Bharata. In the next verse, he says, what will happen to those? Iti guhyatamam shastram. So who knows all these things? Iti guhyatamam shastram idam uktam mayanadha etad buddva buddhiman syat Kritasya cha Bharata. This is the most confidential part of Vedic scripture. O sinless one, it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavor will know perfection. Phalsruti. That is the goal of the people who knows this thing. This is the most confidential part of Vedic scripture. Performing devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Oh, sinless one. So basically, what are the most confidential? That there are two kind of living entity, fallible, infallible. In infallible, there are another living entity who is greatest. So he is the maintainer of everyone, and those who knows. Okay, and since he is Purushottama, he is glorified in all the Vedas and all the world. Okay, and then what he says in the previous verse, and knowing this, whoever knows me, the Supreme Person of Godhead, without doubting, the way it is mentioned is knower, hero of all the Veda, like that, is knower of everything. He therefore engage himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. Very clear. Puri philosophy aa gayi isme. ठीक है. That's why it is Purushottama Yoga. In the next verse he says, what will happen to those? What kind of phala you will get by understanding all these things? This is the most confidential part of Vedic scripture. O sinless one, it is disclosed now by me. And whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavor will know perfection. I'm reading again. This is the most confidential part of Vedic scripture. What are those? That Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Jivatma are part and parcel of the Krishna. Okay, there are two kind of living entity. One is liberated, one is conditioned. In liberated, there are two kind of living entities. One is out of them, one is Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is maintainer of all the all the world and all the living entity, and who knows, and that's why he is glorified in all the world and in Veda, and who knows the Supreme Personality of Godhead this way without doubt, is knower of everything, and by knowing all those things, he worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in conclusion, in very simple way, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are part and parcel of the Krishna. Since we are part and parcel of the Krishna, our duties to render devotional service unto Lord Krishna, and that devotional service begin with the Sravanam Kirtanam, and that Sravanam Kirtanam begins with chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. That's why Krishna has mentioned even the 10th chapter, 25th verse, Yajnanam Japosmi Yajna. It's very simple. Okay. So whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavor will know perfection. ये जिसको पता लग गया. What? Repeating again, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since we are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, our duty is to render loving devotional service to the Krishna, and that service begins with the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So that way, we end here. So this is most confidential. This is the most confidential part of Veda. Iti guhya tamam sastram idama uktam maya nagha etad buddha buddhiman syat kruta krutasya cha bharata. This is the most confidential part of Vedic scripture, O sinless one. It is disclosed now by me. Idam uktva maya nagha. Whoever understands this will become etad buddha buddhiman syat. So whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavor, kruta krutasya cha bharata, his endeavor will know perfection. Very simple. So thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 15th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of Purushottam Yoga, the yoga of the Supreme Person.